So the approach that we use, whilst it may seem novel to many people, and most people would not have heard of it, is called organisational sense-making. And to strip it down, sense-making at an individual level is the way that people process the cues and clues that are around them, the information that is around them, the way that we interpret that information, and from that make assumptions about what that means for us and for other people. As a result of that, take decisions, and as a result of that, take action. So sense-making is the process that individuals go through before they make a decision. It's not something that you select in or out, it's what our minds just do. And those assumptions are made based on pre-existing frames of reference, our history, our shared narratives, the socialization of events. And we form ideas and views about things that are happening. And we put those into today's events. And often we overlay those frames on things we're seeing, and we identify it as something we've seen before, and we give it a name. And from that, we make a decision and move forward. The reason why organisational sense-making is relevant to the diagnostic is it's the foundation in terms of philosophy and approach. And its legitimacy is that it's an area of social science that is well used in areas of the examination of often tragic but dramatic events. So whilst people may not have heard of organisational sense-making, and organisational sense-making as opposed to individual sense-making is merely the collection of people who make those assumptions, decisions, and take those actions. Organisational sense-making has been used to analyse huge events such as the Challenger and Columbia disasters in space travel. Some years ago, the Bhopal disaster, chemical disaster, Tenerife air crash, the 9/11 attacks, more recently the paediatric cardiac unit at the Bristol Royal Infirmary, where the unacceptable death rates of babies, and our own contribution around the death of Jean-Charles de Menezes in London, where Jean-Charles, a Brazilian electrician, on his way to work was killed by specialist firearms officers from the Metropolitan Police. So that methodology, that scientific methodology, is a very robust way for analysing how people process information from their environment, identify what that means for them, make assumptions about the right decisions, and then take action. So by examining and researching areas where those assumptions are wrong, we have built up a methodology for looking at all organisational processing, because organisations and people still go through the sense-making process, whether or not it's in dramatic circumstances. So we use the same parallel methods that people use innately to process information, and have created a diagnostic around the way that people process that information and to come to conclusions. But that is providing people with plausibility. So we're opening up an intelligent question. We're processing that information in order to put that information in front of leaders and say, here are 5 or 6 plausible issues in this organisation. On the 80-20 principle, 20% of the effort in order to get you an 80% result. And then there's a conversation with the leaders to actually identify which one of those may or may not be relevant, but more importantly, focus on the 80% that probably are relevant and may require attention and may require action.